All right, welcome back. We are interviewing our sheriff's candidates for York County Sheriff, and today's guest is Chris Blevins. Chris, will you start off by telling us a little bit about yourself? What's your story?
Yeah, Chris Blevins. My career started at the sheriff's office in 1994 as a reserve deputy. Back then, they would supply you with some equipment, and some equipment you had to buy on your own. And I had a really good job, and I always wanted to be the police. Always wanted to do it. It was a childhood dream, you know. And I had a really good job, and I had a young family, and I was like, you know, if I jump into this job and I don't like it, and I lose the job that's good and I like, I'll be shooting myself in the foot. So this reserve program presented itself, and I'm gonna tell y'all something. I hope y'all believe in the good Lord, because he will guide you on the way you need to go, and even in this campaign, and I can give you some stories about that just put you in those places. But this reserve thing just presented itself one day, and I felt like that was the good Lord saying, hey, here's your chance to try this. So I did that in 94, and it was everything that I thought it was and some. So in 95, May of 95, I got hired full time, and back then when you worked there, man, it was like somebody had to die before you can get a job there. I mean,
right.
Yeah, I mean, the benefits were great and everything, and so I got hired, started out in patrol just like everybody else, and was then able to get promoted into narcotics. I did that for a while, narcotics, and
so that was
did
in.
you ever
said
arrest me?
I'm about to say that was around like 95, 96.
95 is.
Yeah, I was thinking he's probably chasing young Guffey around North York County. Yeah.
So I did narcotics, and then I moved on to the detective division, was in property crimes, and then there was a chance to go back to patrol as a sergeant, and I was like, I've learned a lot. Let me see if I can go back and mentor some of the younger officers that are coming up, and try my hand at that. So I did that. When I went back to patrol, I got real passionate about DUIs, and I'd make a DUI, and a DUI arrest. There's just multiple steps in a DUI arrest to make sure that you're where you need to be, and that you can go from here to
indefensible to lock, an open and shut case.
Yes.
for the solicitor.
Yeah, so you have to make sure all your T's are crossed and your I's are dotted. So I did that, and then the traffic sergeant's position come available, and I was like, that's where I need to be, because I can really focus on the DUIs. And
right.
Smaller unit, only had a couple guys, or I think it was 3 guys in there at a time. So, you didn't have to manage a whole entire shift. And so I did that, was able to transfer into there, and I did that for several years. And while I was there, they had a thing called the South Carolina Law Enforcement Network 16th Circuit. And they were funded by NHTSA. And I had to try to manage traffic enforcement events in Union and York County with other agencies to try to get them to go out and get their numbers up and show that they were being a proactive traffic enforcement.
Yep.
And we used to set up, it was actually pretty cool. We called it Hands Across the Border. We used to set up at the North Carolina line. North Carolina would be on one side, we'd be on this side, and we would 2-3 hours, just constant checkpoint right there. So
I probably went through some of yours on 274.
Yeah, yes, sir, you did. So I did that for a while, and the sheriff's office started a thing called ProStar, which is the same thing the city has, ComStat, and it was just a proactive approach to crime fighting. Basically. Yeah. So my traffic unit turned into what they call an anti-crime team, and what we did is we saturated high crime areas. If the detective division needed somebody followed around, because we all had, the cool cars, and I'll tell you a funny story. We were following a guy one time, and you're the police, and we pull up and we see this guy pull in this driveway, and we're like, did he just crawl through that window? Did he not see me sitting here? I'm the police.
And you're in a marked car, right?
I'm in an unmarked car.
Oh, okay.
Dressed just like you see me today, and I'm like, but my mind is saying I'm the police, and he's doing this in front of me. So of course, what he would do, he was breaking into houses and going through medicine cabinets. He
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we were able to stop that, and they made several charges on him. And then our other secondary job in there was we went after people that had felony warrants for them, the ones that didn't want to be found, and
the dangerous jobs.
Yes, sir. And we stayed up. Y'all, you might not know this, but there's an invisible force field on 321 and 274 went from York County to Gaston County. When you go to Gastonia, we can't go after you. There's
that invisible force field.
Force field, you know. So
I used to see it on Dukes of Hazzard. Anytime they got out of Hazzard County, man, Roscoe Pico train couldn't go after them.
I actually had an employee steal a bunch of equipment from me and was staying up in Belmont, and he just got anything about it.
Yeah. So
wow, you don't have like
Belmont wasn't doing anything about it.
You have those extradition, and it's got that law has to meet that extradition criteria to
wow.
get back. So
is it kind of like whenever you shoot somebody outside of your house, you drag them in? Can you catch them and drag them across the floor?
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
I don't know much about that. my mic. I didn't know. So we started. You know, we would do that, and we got where we was really good with other agencies.
Yeah,
and so we were really. I mean, we were good. We were hunting people, and I had a group of deputies, and another funny story is we found one in Hollywood, Florida, on a picture that he took on a square manhole cover. And for some reason, when we called down there, a guy goes, "Yeah, I know where that manhole cover is," and went over there and was able to find the apartment complex the guy was staying off a manhole cover.
What?
That's a true story.
Holy.
Sounds like some of my trolls that are zooming in to what's in the background of my picture.
Yeah.
Wow, man.
That's a true story. So we got really good at that. While I was in there, then honestly, I transferred out and took a district commander's job, which was Heath's job, and Heath took my job.
Oh, wow. Yeah. What year was this?
Oh, man.
Wife swap, but within the sheriff's department.
It was...
Not really wife. Sorry, bad comment.
Yeah, I'm going to keep talking. I'm going to act like that never happened. I don't...
I mean, so you served in the reserve starting in like 94, 95?
To 95, yes.
And then, like, when you retired, right?
Yes, in 2020 is when I... 20.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so you served 25, 26 years.
Yeah, 26 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but during that time there, I was on the SWAT team as a team leader on the entry team. That was pretty cool. I did over 10 years there. I was on the K-9 response team. It's just where you go out and you run with the handler. I was team leader on the honor guard for the sheriff's office. Did that for years. Got a really cool picture at the Panther Stadium. So I got that on my desk at home. I got, and also, let's see, y'all.
Done it about it all.
Yeah.
I know this sounds very like the professional resume, like Clevenger.
Yeah,
you know, he talked about his experience too.
Trying to experience every.
You have gone through every level. It seems like, and
me and he kind of walked in the same path. I mean, really, truly.
Okay, so you did your service. You've given what 25, 26 years to the sheriff's office here in York County. And, you know, then we experienced what we experienced with Kevin running for sheriff for re-election again and then withdrawing and then the race getting opened back up again. What was sort of that motivating thing that said, man, this is my time. I need to go throw my name in the hat here because, you know, as Brandon and I often talk about, man, it takes some courage to throw yourself out there. And I know you're probably learning this, right?
Yes.
I mean, it's probably courage that you didn't think you had to draw from that, but it does. I mean, that's your name, that's your credibility, all those things. I mean, what was it that sort of pulled you in?
I can tell you, I always wanted to run for sheriff. I always did. I had a lot of respect for Bruce Bryant. And you know, I was not going to try to run against him.
Yeah.
The incumbent. And y'all know that's really hard to beat.
Oh, yeah.
And then Kevin took over. And I had a lot of respect for Kevin. My wife was a 911 dispatcher. She was supervisor at 911.
Oh, wow.
And
is she still doing that?
no, she retired.
Okay.
28 years. And she got right there at the end of her career, and she was looking forward to retiring, and she wanted something that was going to slow her down a little bit, from that 0 to 100 back, back and forth, and then you just go to nothing. That's hard on the body.
Yeah.
So a position come available at the sheriff's office, and she applied, and they hired her. And she it was just a clerk's job, a civil process clerk's job, but it was still difficult, but she can handle it, and she just wanted to slow down before she can retire. So I have a lot of respect. He gave her a job and let her continue to work there until she retired, and I would have never run against him.
Oh yeah,
just out of respect. And when they filed and one dropped out, whatever. When the GOP opened it back up, that was my sign that said, "Hey, if you want that opportunity, you're here."
Yeah.
And the candidates involved are all great people. So this is my opportunity. I'm going to take it. I don't mean any harm to anybody. I won't say anything bad about anybody. Mm-hmm. But I'm this type of person, man. If you're a friend of mine, I'm not going to let somebody say something bad about you either.
Yeah.
If they want to say something bad about somebody, go say it to their face. Don't chicken out and
man up.
Yeah, don't chicken out and say, let me do this keyboard warrior thing,
Oh, we got plenty of that.
Oh, I know y'all do. It's part of the game.
And we talk about it on the state house level and politics just in general. It's just, I wish folks, and I'm glad to hear you say that, you always hear folks saying how their opponent's bad and they're good. Man, just talk about your goodness. Let your light shine.
That's right.
And voters will attract or feel like, hey, I could support that candidate versus another one. Sometimes it's not anything that policy-wise. They just like the way you carry yourself,
Well, I'll tell you this. Whenever you filed, you were one of the guys that I didn't really know in the race. And people constantly call me. Matter of fact, while we were recording the podcast earlier, I got a phone call. Somebody sending me a text, hey, tell me about this sheriff's race. And I'm like, hey, there's an event tomorrow. You ought to go and hear them all yourself.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to influence somebody's decision. But
That's right.
I can tell you, the one thing I can say, I never heard a single person talk negatively about you.
Well, thank you.
You hear it from a lot of people, and I'm very polarizing. I got lots of people that don't like me. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. But I have not, as seriously, it's like everybody I talk to, I mean, even Tony Breeden told me, he was like, hey, I'll drive by all these shops to go out there and go see Chris. And, that just shows the respect that you garner, which I think is huge. Being more out in the western side of York County, I'm sure you're trying to battle to get in and get more name recognition within the cities. And I can tell you from the people that I have talked to, I don't know that anybody's going to not like you. So that's always a plus.
Yeah, and you can always tell, not it's apples and oranges. I know it's not always the same, but it is public service in the sense of law enforcement and military. They share that brotherhood. I think that is very kindred spirits, and so even if it's harmless banter between the Air Force and a Marine,
you should have heard him, Clevenger, and Breeden running.
That's what I'm saying.
Each other
I couldn't imagine.
It was some funny. I was laughing. My face hurt whenever I left that meeting and they were talking.
Yeah. So let's talk about the schedule a little bit. I mean, so you're retired. Are you working at all, just to make some income?
Yes, sir. When I retired, we started buying a few businesses, and I'll tell you, running your own business, as he knows, as Brandon knows.
Yep.
Man,
I'm a small business owner myself, so making payrolls and all those things.
It's tough, and trying to make everybody happy, you can't do that, and things happen. But me and my wife, we bought our first laundromat, a coin-operated laundromat, while I was still employed with the sheriff's office. And we bought it dirt cheap because the guy was just done with it. But there was a lot of stuff broke, and I like mechanical stuff. I like working with my hands, and was able to figure this stuff out and got everything up and running. And so then we bought another one, and then I bought a garage, and then I got a tow service. Sold the garage back right around the end of December. Sold it. and I sold one of our laundromats in Clover, and I still have the tow service, and we still have one laundromat. Most of all of our business was confined to the York Clover area because that's where we live.
Yeah.
You don't want to drive to Rock Hill to service a laundromat. It wouldn't be profitable. So we still own one laundromat, and we own a tow service.
Okay.
So,
but that's good. You're your own boss too. I mean, now are you driving the wrecker or?
I have a guy that does it during the day.
Good.
And then at night, just to give him a break, if I get a call. I'll get up. I was up the other morning at 4 o'clock in the morning towing a car from the McDonald's in Clover to a house in York.
Okay.
Just to give him a break because I know he's tired. He works all day, and you know, I told him that when this was over with that I was going to give him a week off with pay. He deserves
He's having to carry everything. Because speaking of, you owe your wife that too. These campaigns are hell on our spouses as well.
You know, Brandon, you're right, but I'm going to tell you, I would probably not be doing as good as I am if it wasn't for her. And I have a band of friends that have come together. Like one of my friends, that man runs around town. If you haven't been to Fort Mill, you can see he stays busy. He puts signs up. Michael Belk I was just on the phone with him, and he asked me where I was going. I said, why? He says, because you're going to put signs up. I know what you're doing.
Well, that's the trick of the game is how many doors you can knock on, how much you can get, especially in a race with 5 people. And, you know, there's a extremely high chance y'all have a runoff. So June 11th is the election day, but there's going to be a high chance that you're going to have to get everyone to come back out. And if you think this election is stressful, the runoff is a mind-blowing stressful.
Madhouse race to the finish line. I mean, it's going to be the top 2.
Yeah.
So
and fundraising is another big issue.
You enjoying that, ain't you?
Yes.
You're a country boy like me. You don't like
man. That is the worst.
No, you don't.
I know you're taught not to.
I tell you, that's one of those things that I've learned. It was very uncomfortable. You know, talking about money or whatever.
Heath could raise money for me, and I could raise money for
correct.
Heath, but we couldn't raise our
that's the key, man. You got to find some friends who can make calls for you in their social networks. Like, man, $25, man, $50. You spend that on some beer and groceries, man.
Do you know what? And maybe this is back what you said earlier. Do you know I actually have people sending me money? I'm not even asking for it.
Well, that's awesome.
And they I mean the support that I've got from the community, the people that really like me, you know, they're sending me constantly, you know, on the Venmo, Cash App, you know, you'll get up one morning and you'll have like $100 in there. It's 5 people that sent you $20.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is awesome, you know?
Yeah.
And I mean, I just couldn't believe the support that I'm getting. And I'm going to tell you, you know, when I retired, I never in a million years thought that I would have all this when I retired. But I retired a highly decorated officer. I do have 2 Medal of Honors. I got 3 Medal of Valors, and I got a Medal of Merit from Charlotte PD. And y'all, I never.
That's
worked
awesome.
There.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
I never worked Charlotte.
How do you attain that?
We were serving a warrant on a guy in Fort Mill, and once Shane Page, he was a Charlotte PD officer assigned to the FBI task force. So once we started entering a room, Shane Page got shot. And turns around and looks at me and says, hey, Blevins, I've been shot. So I got him outside.
Oh, okay.
That's how I got that.
I thought this was one of those things that you just alluded to where Blevins went over the state line and dragged somebody back, you know?
No, man.
Did he make it?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. He retired and all this, you know, and I make this word up all the time, Googleable. And I tell them, I said, hey, I'm Googleable. Just, you know, for me to not sit here and tell you all these stories, you can look that up.
Yeah.
But
wow.
Yeah.
So for the listeners out there, they want to learn a little bit more about you. And by the time this airs, you know, we'll have the forum will be out there as well. Tell us exactly how we can get a hold of you or how the listeners can get a hold of you to ask you questions, where they can donate to your campaign, how can they support you, and what do you need in addition to prayers in this race?
Well, prayers is number one. And if they want to donate, they can go to my webpage or my Facebook page. BlevinsForSheriff.com, and then just Blevins for Sheriff on Facebook. And there's quick links to our QR codes to the Venmo, to the Cash App. And my phone number, this phone number right here, is out there. It's on my Facebook page.
Yeah.
I'll be happy to give it to anybody. I'll give it to you right now, and it'll be on here.
Give it to it on the podcast.
It's 803-372-7685. And that is my personal cell phone number.
Okay.
And it's kind of funny. I had a phone call from a lady where we were doing a meet and greet, and she calls and she found my phone number on my Facebook page, and I answered the phone, and she said, "Is this Chris Blevins, candidate for sheriff?" I said, "Yes, ma'am, it is." She said, "You answered the phone." I said, "Well, yes, ma'am, you called me." She goes, "Well, I want to ask you a question." I said, "Okay." She said, "You mean you have time for me?" I said,
90% of success is showing
Not
up.
at this rate.
if you took
Kidding, folks.
if you took time out of your day to call me, I got time for you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't plan on changing this number. I know people tell me that is the stupidest thing you're going to ever do. I don't plan on changing this number.
No, you carry two.
Well,
hey, listen, I was a skeptic too, man. When I first filed and ran, I got and I do not like two phones. I'm not doing that number, right? So
I'm a hip-hop fan. What can I say?
I ended up doing a Google phone number, 803 number, that tied back to my personal cell, right?
So you can turn it off during family time.
Yeah.
there you go.
But well, then, and also, if I didn't win, I wouldn't have people, you know. So, but no, I mean, but now, like, our house rep business card has my personal cell, you know, and I feel okay when I give someone my card. I'm fine with you calling me. You know, the problem is that we talked about before, those keyboard warriors calling you at 3 in the morning. Hey, Chris.
I get plenty of trolls, so I know that feeling. But
no. It's admirable.
With this race, you know, we always had the fear of losing because of the candidates. The races can get really, really ugly. I am thankful, and people don't realize that going from law enforcement, y'all are not politicians.
No, sir.
So
I'm not a politician. You are.
I've become one, right? That's the way it is. But you're not used to having to be out there in front of people. Most of you have these stoic personalities to show that strength and to show that comfort to people in the community, but you don't have that personality to just walk up and say, "Hey, I'm such and such. Hey, I'm such and such." And that takes a little bit of time and comfortability, but you will learn that as you're getting those phone calls and those random people that are sending you donations and the people that you don't know that come up and just say, "Hey, I'm praying for you." That's what gives you that confidence.
Yeah, and I think it prepares you for success.
Yeah. It's the support of the community that makes you successful.
Yeah, totally 100% agree. Because when I first started to where I am now, I'm much more comfortable. If people come up, "Hey, you look familiar," or you know, and I used to be like, "No, that ain't me."
First time we got up at the well, and I'm never shy of talking.
Yeah.
But the first time we got up at the well, it's like, don't know what to say.
Yep. So, I mean, there's you and then four other candidates running for the race. Early voting starts May 28th. And that goes to what? That Monday, right?
June 7th.
The 7th. Okay, so that's a Friday.
Day before no, it's the Monday. It's the day before the election. Oh, yeah, that is Friday.
The 7th is the Friday. Okay. So May 28th to June 7th. So that Monday to Friday, and then we have the weekend, and then everyone goes primary vote on June 11th.
Yeah, and get those early votes out because we got tons of kids
graduating summertime.
Don't miss it because you got graduation party or first week or your first week of vacation. And whenever it goes to that runoff, be prepared to vote again immediately.
Yes.
Whether that's early voting,
yes, that's correct,
or whether that is showing up to get the vote in. But just make sure, because it's not going to be a one-time vote to support your candidate. You're going to need to vote twice in a race like this.
100%. So,
last question. Between you and the other four candidates, what would you say would be your strength that would make that would stand out and say, "Hey, this is why I'm right"? And it might not even stand out. It might be something that someone else has, but
or just a reason why you're
the strongest portion of Chris Blevins on why the citizens should choose you to be our next sheriff.
that makes me stand out from the other ones?
No, it don't have to be.
Yeah. Well, of course, we. I've run business, successful business, and yeah, we've had hiccups. If anybody, just like y'all two,
every business does.
Oh man,
you've got issues that you have to deal with.
Yeah,
you can't make everybody.
That's
happy.
part of learning.
That is. And being able to learn that through the private industry, which is hard because through the private industry you have to go out and find your own resources. When you're in a government setting, they have those resources readily available for you, so you don't have to deal with that. And just my experience, everybody has experience. I've done a lot of things while I've been there, and it's made me the person that I am. I've gave up a lot to try to get a lot while I worked.
Do you have any priorities? And again, I think we've talked about this in the past where, York County's been blessed with, we've had Bruce Bryant for a long time. Then we had Kevin for a little while. And so it seems like, our sheriff's office has been doing a good job.
Yes, sir.
What is something that you want to focus on as sheriff? Like, do you have a number one priority thing that you're like, Kevin and Bruce laid the foundation for this, but I really want to focus on this?
You're right. They've done a great job. And I have a vision of how I want to see it ran, without getting too deep into that. But one of my things that I have a little passion about is how people take they take advantage of the elderly, the vulnerable adults, where they take their money. Yeah. That absolutely bothers me, man.
Yeah.
And I want to try to figure out if that's something that, because they call from all these different numbers and it is hard to track, but the way technology is, there's got to be something out there that we can do.
We're fighting.
Here.
Oh yeah.
With you.
Yeah.
I literally was coming down Charlotte Avenue in Rock Hill, and I was at a light, and literally there's a sign that says avoid scams because of the recent storm that came through all the out of town, what I mean? So yeah, man, that's an important part. Yeah.
So if it's just and the sheriff's office done a good job about getting education out there, but I think we can take it a step further.
Yeah.
In educating,
awareness is the majority of the battle.
Yes, just to how not to be a victim. If you feel like that this is happening, please hang up and call us. And especially with the way they do law enforcement, hey, this is so and so. We got an arrest warrant. You
right.
A lot of that's coming out of prisons within South Carolina too.
So,
Well, right. Chris, thanks for your time. Thanks for putting your name out there for voters to consider here in York County for the sheriff's race. And again, one more time, if you can give them your website, so if they want to support you or contact you.
Yeah, it's blevinsforsheriff.com.
Okay. Thanks, man. Good luck in the race, and we'll see you soon.
Pleasure to meet you. And
this was fun.
This is awesome.
Thank you very much for inviting me, because this was all right. I was a little nervous driving over here because I've never done one. I was like, man, I don't know what this is going to be all about.
It's just getting that comfortability.
Yeah.
So, but I think you're a great candidate. I think that like I said, no one's talked negatively about you. I am proud to get to know you. I want to thank you for your service, and best of luck, and we'll certainly be praying for you.
Yep. Thanks, sir.
This was awesome.
Yeah, man.
The American dreamer.